Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to. I'm not starting over. This is supposed to be real authentic with all the bloopers and everything. I'm not starting over. Anyways, hello, everyone.
Everybody?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Vision for Us podcast. My name is Terrence,
I'm Angelica.
and we're the Prathers.
Oh, I didn't say it together. We're the Prathers.
We're the Prathers.
This is going to be a fun episode because...
yeah, we already started out fun.
Yes. We wanted to talk about the basic things
Wait, first we got to say what we did today.
Why we got to talk about what we did today?
Why not?
Okay. So, y'all, we went to the gym together.
I did not want to go.
He didn't want to go today, but we're going to be... I've been telling you to have self-integrity. Well, I've been telling myself to have self-integrity.
Yeah, you tell yourself self-integrity.
I don't want to lie to myself. We are the biggest liars to ourselves. So we'll say we're going to do something the night before. And if God allowed us to wake up the next day, I don't want to lie. So,
well, I never said I was going to the gym.
You didn't.
That's nice.
But you did say a couple of weeks ago that we're going to start working out together.
That is true.
That's how we got started in our relationship, was working out together.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't go that.
Mm-hmm.
It started out great. But then it just turned into I was pregnant and then we weren't working out no more.
Yeah. And then we had
you were working out. I wasn't.
Then we had a good laugh this morning.
Yes, we had a really good laugh because my hair, I came out the gym looking cray. And he told me, you should do your hair last night. And I was like, no, I don't feel like it. And then when I came out the gym and I seen myself, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to do something for this. So my little comb over is working out with the little headphones.
When I say you look like a little muffin top.
Little muffin top. But you like my hair short. And in the wintertime, because it's a little bit on the cold side, I like to grow it a little longer.
Which I don't like.
He doesn't like it. I do like my hair really, really short as a pixie, but in the wintertime, the wind be blowing and I got a little peanut head and I just need a little bit more cushion. And it might not even be that it's really thicker or anything like that, but it just feels like I just need a little bit more hair. So, and then I end up cutting it all off because it's too long. So.
Okay, so we're going to digress.
Yes. So that's what we did today, fam. But today I wanted to talk to you guys. I thought it was a really good topic for us to cover. We wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Like
she's not
giving
used
you
to this whole we thing.
I am used to the we thing. It's just I'm used to talking to the camera by myself. So, and since it's so conversational, it's a little bit easier too. But I think like if you are starting a business in 2025, you're like, me and my husband, we're going to start a business. This is going to be our legacy, all of those different things, right? You're excited about building a business together, but there's things that people do not tell you that you should be talking about. So we want to cover 5 key areas that you should be focusing on before starting the business, because there are some unique things that happen as building a business. You're in partnership.
Right.
And you're also married to this person and you don't be talking about business all day, all night. Okay. So one of my key things that since we've started several businesses and has, open, closed, completed, did a lot of stuff. One of the things that I think is you have to define your non-negotiables. And
I would agree with that.
Okay. So what are some of our non-negotiables?
Well, we put everything down when the kids come home.
Yes.
So we try to. I mean, yesterday. No, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Well, that was on Sunday. Today, yeah.
Whatever
I don't know. Whatever day. But no, we try to stop with anything dealing with work at 3 p.m.
Yes, because we do have kids.
Because we have kids. So that's spending time with them is a non-negotiable, especially when they walk in the door. And our kids will remind us that, hey, y'all are on your phones, especially Journey.
Yes, with the heartbeat.
Yeah. Mommy, you're on your phone.
Yeah, she is very, she needs her attention. But I think just defining when you can write out what is non-negotiable while we're in the building season is very crucial, because your non-negotiables in your building season is going to be very different than when you're in your scaling or expanding season, whatever it is. So
we had to figure that out on the hard way.
The hard way. Right. And that became, that's where the conflict comes in, because you don't have it defined what is our non-negotiable? He was already like, okay, when the kids come home, you should be done with work. I was like, I could still fit in and I'll go pick them up from the bus stop and then come back and then get back into work. But that's unfair to them.
Right.
So once I was like, okay, you're absolutely right. Working from home, and depending on what type of business you are, creating, a lot of people are excited in the beginning and it's like this new thing you're birthing. But if you don't clearly define what are the non-negotiables. So that means date night. On date night, we're not talking about business.
Right.
Or when we are having our downtime after the kids go to bed, if you have kids or whatever the case may be, are we sitting there going back to work, or are we not talking about business at all?
We're not talking about too much business at all. Unless an idea pops in our head.
Which most of the ideas pop in his head. Not mine. Mine would be ready to go to bed. Okay. And then what are your business hours? I think that's really, really key when you are building a business, because people tell you on the online streets, you got to grind it out, work it out, which I don't like that word.
Don't like grind or hustle.
But if you know you're not at your optimum peak at a certain time, I had to have a real conversation with myself and say, I need rest. If I don't get 8 hours, I'm done. I need my 8 hours. And really and truthfully, my 8 hours is I can go to bed at a certain time, but I don't want to have to hear an alarm and then jump up. I need to be able to lay in bed for a little bit. Just I open my eyes. I like to lay out and just kind of chill out. And then I get up. He can hear an alarm and jumps out of the bed. So that was something that you have to define your business hours. And I think we did a really good job at defining, well, you did the job. The saying, these are the hours that we should work at. And if it doesn't happen in those time frames, then it just didn't get done, and move on to the next day. And I think that made a world of a difference, even for me, because I always worked outside of the house, including you. And keeping a schedule inside the house just was I just work when I work. If I feel like it, I don't.
And sometimes we don't go off the schedule.
Sometimes you have to pivot from the schedule.
Yeah. Today we started a little late.
Yeah. So he wants to go to the gym at the crack of dawn. I want to go to the gym after the kids get out of, they get on the bus. But he made a valuable point today, because we are leaning towards homeschooling the kids, and we're going to do a whole episode about that. But because we're leaning more towards that, we have to set the tone now to get discipline. And at the time, I didn't want to hear y'all. I was like, whatever. Trying to make a joke about it.
Because we literally got about 6 to 7 more months and then they're done. So we have to create the habit now. And so the non-negotiable is family time. So define what your non-negotiables are is the first key thing before you start the business, because you're all excited and then you get into the weeds of it. And then you're like, we're scrambling. This is going to save you from scrambling around and figuring out, the day. You have to plan out your day in entrepreneurship. When are you going networking? How many times are you going networking? Is networking important? Outside of maybe you're building an online business. How much of those times are going to be out? How many calls are you going to be making? All of that, write it all out, even just on a piece of paper. Just throw out, okay, I'm not willing to compromise my gym time. Right.
I'm not willing to compromise my Bible time.
Right.
I'm not willing to compromise my sleep. And what I mean by compromise is
date night,
family time, or in this season, a non-negotiable is every person that's invited me to something, I'm saying no. Right? That's a non-negotiable. This year, we are focused on our family alone. Whatever it is, take that piece of paper out, and you got to be fair to work with each other, because I think that sometimes one person is a little bit more strict. He's way more strict. I need a little bit more lenience.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You need a lot.
To him, it looks like a lot, but it's what fuels me. So I don't operate like you do. And so he had to be a little bit more gracious. So I just say the piece of paper, he can write down his non-negotiables. I can write down my non-negotiables, and then come together and say, okay, what are we willing to put on this list to help us reach our goal? That I think that makes a world of a difference when you are starting your business, and most people do not talk about this part.
Right.
I think that's the one thing that creates problems with working with your spouse.
Well, it created problems for us.
Facts. And I think what was one of the biggest problems that you had with me?
You not sticking to a schedule.
Yeah.
That, and you say you're going to be done with a meeting and you're not done within that time frame, or someone calls you out of the blue and you're picking up the phone, and that phone call lasts for about an hour and some change.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I would be mad at myself after, because I'm like, Dad, where did my time go? It's like, no, you spent your time and you're not getting it back.
And then when I remind her where her time went, she looks at me with a crazy face. I didn't want to hear that.
Because nobody likes to hear the truth. But that's the beautiful thing about being in a relationship with your spouse, or even doing business with your spouse. I know there's a lot of more negative things that people talk about, but I think that's the beautiful thing, because it shows you your imperfections.
Right.
And if you, whatever your goal is this year, if you really want to hit it in 2025, then you got to be real with yourself and just say, my spouse is not just there to love up on me and all of that, but you're supposed to bring out the best in the person. And sometimes a part of becoming the best is showing you what you're not so good at. So it's a good mirror, but it don't feel good when it's happening. I'll just keep it all real. I'll be looking at him with a side eye.
You sure do.
Right?
Yeah.
So for sure, write your non-negotiables. So the next thing that I like to discuss is, do not lean into what is popular right now, the type of business that you are going to build. So the first thing is, you want to choose your business style. Like, does it align with your lifestyle goals? Does it align with your skills? What type of business are you starting? Because that makes a world of a difference. We are completely different. We share values and goals, right? But we're not the same. So for instance, when we decided that we were going to kill every business idea that we were putting out in the marketplace and come together, he had a vision that I just could not see, because I have been in the entrepreneurship space for a long time. So I'm like, okay, you put out something in the market and then it has to produce an income. But as I started to read and learn, the one thing I pray for is, I said, I don't want to trade my time for dollars. And most of small businesses start with, you trade your skill set or something for monetary. You're bringing something of value to the marketplace.
Right.
But on the online space, you can sell your intellectual property to help other people get them a result. And so we had started the coaching business,
Right.
and I was talking to a certain audience. And at that time, I was passionate about it because it was the thing that I knew, but it wasn't for us. It was hairstylists.
I know. I just wanted you to say that.
Okay, whatever. But I think you should choose your business based off your shared lifestyle and your shared skill set, or not just your skills, because I was good at doing hair, but I didn't want to talk to hairstylists forever.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the truth that I had to come to reality. I like talking to entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs that already had that business acumen. And I think if I was more clear on that, it would have made a world of a difference for you and I, because both of us could have came into that business together. But he didn't want to coach nobody.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, he was like, not that you don't like the coaching space.
I like the coaching space, but I don't too much necessarily like the fact that going to try to coach and try to reframe someone's mindset that they've already been in entrepreneurship. If they've already been in entrepreneurship and they already have a business, I want to start from the ground up and help them. Because then the ones that are now choosing to go into entrepreneurship, they don't know. And I know from experience, from the mistakes that I made, that I can help them not make those same mistakes. When you start in the middle or higher, they already know what mistakes not to make. So then what are you bringing to the table to them? Then when you start getting up to those type of echelons, to those entrepreneurs who has a Fortune 500 business or making over $500,000 in gross revenue or more,
their problems are different. Absolutely.
So it wasn't that I didn't want to coach or help.
You just have more passion for the newbies.
I have more passion for the newbies.
And
based off of the mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
So it helps bring up the ones that are now coming into entrepreneurship to where they don't make the same mistakes that we made.
And I, because you have that heart to serve. So you're like, if they don't have to make all these mistakes, then it serves a great purpose. And there's more people that get taken advantage at the beginning of something. Right. And so I understood that. But at that moment in time, y'all, I was not feeling it. I was just like, okay.
Hence why we did vision. That's why we're doing vision
for us. Yeah. So, but now that I've married that vision, it makes a lot of sense. But when we decided to choose a business, it wasn't the one thing that we both had to come into agreement was we didn't want a service-based business. Right. I have come from the service-based business. We wanted to build a business around our lifestyle. And our lifestyle was freedom, right? We wanted time freedom. So how could we build a business that allows us time freedom? And that's the questions that you have to ask yourself as a couple. What type of business are we building? There are a lot of people that build it based off their skills alone. And if one person is more stronger at this skill set, guess what's going to happen?
They're going to be taking
the brunt of the work. So you got to find, okay, for us, freedom was the top priority. So what type of business can we build that we both can show up and divide and conquer, but also not take away from our marriage, not take away from our time with our children, give us a time freedom. And so we had to discover what type of business are we going to build that allows us to go through time, to give us the results of time freedom.
But then that also goes back to if you have a creed for your family, a family creed, then you will know where to start.
Yes. And every business that is online or every business offline, you have to figure out, does this align with who we are as a family? Yeah. And if you don't know what that is, then you'll buy into every shiny thing like, oh, this person's starting a t-shirt line. Let me go start a t-shirt line. This is profitable on e-com. Let me go do this.
Let me go and create a faceless YouTube channel.
Yeah, like let me go do that. Then you got all of these projects and you haven't accomplished anything because you keep starting new, exciting things or whatever shiny. And although the coaching space is very popular right now, a lot of people are hiring coaches, a lot of people in business, and this has been around for forever. I noticed that I enjoy more consulting space because I can give you a blueprint. I know it's going to work when you're infusing your business. Go do it and I'm done, right? I don't have to convince you. So I knew after maybe after a year of doing the coaching, I was like, it's a fine line of mixing counseling and that. And I didn't want to stay in more of the counseling space. I wanted to give you a play. And when you define coaches, right, like look at Phil Jackson, he writes the plays out. If you go play it and you come back, but he has to, if you're having a bad day or, he was making them do yoga and all these other things to prepare them to be the best. But when you're a consultant, they're coming already at their best. They want a result. Right. That's it. And I like results driven. Give me the results. I'm good. But if I have to work and go through, I just knew that wasn't going to be long term. That was going to drain me. Emotionally.
Well, why would it drain you emotionally if you have a set schedule and a set time and you abide by that time and that schedule?
Yes. Why? It wasn't just so much about the schedule, it's the amount of pouring I did into people. And that was more emotionally draining for me. I got on a high of it. It was like, oh, this is so it felt so impactful. This might not be for everybody. This is just what I experienced in my coaching journey. I love to see the transformation in people, but I just enjoyed more people that came ready and was like, I want a result. And that was it. Like they just had a fire already in them. Not like, I want to make a lot of money. They're not going to convince you that you are worthy of making this amount of money. It was just too many legwork. So I just knew that I liked more of the consulting space. But anyway, I think you should reverse engineer and figure out what type of business you're building around your lifestyle, especially if you have children, because your children should never come last. Our model is God, family, and then the business. Right. And so you might not have children, but I guarantee you, if you have children in the process while you're building a business, it's going to change. Yeah. So reverse engineer, figure out what type of business you are building that is around your lifestyle. Now, there are many people that won't agree with that, but that's what worked for us. Okay. And so I just think that for the long term, you just have to define what that looks like for you. Right. So, now my next a piece of advice is create a safe place for business disagreements. Ooh. We don't get this right, y'all.
What are you talking about? We don't. Well, no, not
No,
all
we
the
don't
time.
get this right, but I think it's worthy of putting on the list of the 5 things that they should do when they're starting a business.
Now, what do you mean a safe place? Go in a room, close the door, and then
No, because you used to do that, and that used to annoy the heck out of me. You're like, I don't have anything else to. But like business
you
decisions.
said a safe space. So what? You're designating a safe space for a business? I'm just asking. I don't.
You are very smart and articulate. You know exactly what I mean. Okay. What I mean by this is like, when are we in business mode? For instance, if I'm like, I get an idea, which you got a lot of, my ideas come to me at random times, right?
Yeah.
Yours comes at night and I'm ready to go to bed. And then mine's could be while
my mom wakes up at night.
Yeah. And so, for instance, the other day, give you a prime example. I was like, oh, this would be a great video idea. This would be a great video idea. And then you were not in that space. You like didn't want to talk about it. And so that could have easily turned into an argument because I'm like, I want to talk about it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do a paper dialogue that if you get a video idea and it's not on our list and it's out of our scope of what we already put on the plan, then we're going to have a document where we use a tool called Xtile. It's one of his favorite because it keeps him like creative. And then we both share that and we just data dump there. Right. And that makes it very easily. But this is how the small things become big. And so a safe place is if I'm having an issue with, for instance, give them a prime example. When I used to come into your zone of genius, he would get like this nasty face, and then would like, you had a sharp tongue when I would say something, and it would make me feel like you don't like my idea. So I started getting personal, and then it would turn into the kind of back and forth. Right. Now, because we are a little bit more versed in this, if I have an issue, I'm like, I want to talk about this. And then you'll be like, okay, well, I'm doing this. And then that's the safe place. It doesn't have to be, oh, we're going to come to the table and have this powwow. No, I'm not doing that. Ain't nobody got time for all of that. I'm just saying.
I thought that's what the safe place was.
Okay. But you got to know when you're in business zone, so that it doesn't pour into our personal. So for instance, like going to the gym or me cooking, right? I know that when we get home from the gym, I'll cook or whatever. Like I'll cook our breakfast and,
which is the same thing every day.
And it makes it easier. And at first I was like, I wasn't for that. Right. But when we're in business, like when we're recording, we're in record mode. Right. And if we disagree on camera, it's going to disagree on camera. You're just going to see it. If we mess up, you're going to see we mess up. You sure? Because he's like, I'm not cutting anything out. I'm not trying to be perfect or anything like that. We just want you to see all of it. I don't think it's a big deal. Just cut it out. It takes 2 seconds. I can do it, but he wants to show it. No. Hey, that's fine.
It doesn't take 2 seconds.
It does. With the software that we're using.
First of all, when you sit up there and say, oh, I'm just going to cut this little piece out, then you start looking at the whole video and then going through the whole video. And it's like, oh, I need to cut this part out or I need to cut this part out. No, just leave it alone. Yes. Authenticity.
I get it.
Okay.
All right. We're not here to be perfect, Patty. Yeah. But one thing that I notice if I'm really upset about something in general, like, or starting to spill out or in my like personal space or anything like that. Like yesterday, I got up with the kids. I was a little still tired because I made the decision to stay up and watch something that I was like, oh, the next episode. But I knew I was going to be tired the next day. When I don't get rest.
And it showed on the video.
It showed on the video. So y'all, I apologize. If I look tired and I look like I wasn't interested, I promise I wasn't interested. But I was tired. But that's my fault. But I committed to this.
You did.
And so I was going to show up. But even with showing up, if you don't show up as your best self, I don't like that presentation of myself. That could easily, but I said all that to say that it spilled into like me parenting. So yesterday morning when I got the kids up, I got them up. I'm trying to teach them for me not to have to micromanage them and them be independent. But I did have a little bit of a toot because they kept asking me the same thing. And I was just like, you guys are too brilliant and too smart.
Whereas when I get them up in the morning, it's just
it's like a piece of cake. They don't even ask them 2 questions. They ask them one thing and then that's it. And they leave them alone. Me, it's like, mommy. So I had an attitude yesterday morning and because I was like, okay, well, we have to record. My mind was in the list of all the things that I had to do. But I knew that me going to the gym, I would start to feel a little better. I had a conversation with you personally, and you said, I am going to get the kids up today. And that gave me a little bit of grace to like, that's a safe place, right? Where I'm coming to you, that in the personal, like, although we have a schedule, we're still flexible in the schedule. It's like, okay, you're getting up with the kids. And me just getting out of the bed this morning, I was so like, it was so great. I was able to just pray, read my Bible, come out the room. He was sleeping. I slammed the door and he was just like, you're always slamming doors. And he didn't want to go to the gym. And I wanted him to go to the gym because we said we were going to commit to going to the gym together. So although it's late, our physical fitness is important. Our time at the gym is important. And he's fighting for his life and I'm fighting for my life.
Well, I'm not fighting for my life, literally. Like,
well, you know what I mean by
I'm
that.
not dying.
You're not dying.
All right? So let's be clear.
I think that working out is like after you hit a certain age, it's no longer looking about cute. It's about...
No, I'm trying to look cute.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a zaddy. All right.
All right. We're not going to go there to the whole zaddy look. Okay.
So anyways, but this morning, because I'm like, okay, I wanted to start earlier with the recording because of we're staying in, we have apartments. We're living in an apartment, really nice too. But they're doing work downstairs under us, and I didn't want to mess up if they were going to do that. And, it would mess up. We wouldn't be able to record, but they're not doing it right now. So. Yes. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. So just to recap on that, make sure that you have a safe place so that your personal disagreements don't fall into your business disagreements. And if it does, and one person cannot get out of that, by all means, everything stops because your marriage is the most important thing than the business. Unless you got clients and you got to serve your clients, you still got to show up. That's true. But we knew that for us, that's why understanding your non-negotiables is important because we knew for us, time freedom. I don't want a client, and this is no offense to those. I've been a service provider for so long. It's no offense to those if that's the line of work that you choose. I just didn't want a client to have the control over my time or anything of that. I wanted to be able to serve well in that capacity, and then be able to have the freedom to say, okay, I have more time with my family. I have more time to work on my health. I have more time to go visit my grandmother who's still living. Those things are very important to me. And the years that I already did in hairstyling and stuff, I just didn't want to recreate that in our business journey today, which is why I no longer do hair anymore.
That's true.
And that was a hard decision for me to come into and to let go. But once I did, and I started to get time freedom, I was like, I don't care that our businesses are not making so much money. I just knew that I enjoyed
the time freedom.
And that is hard to give up.
That is
facts.
Very,
right?
very,
like
very
once
hard.
You get it, you're like, the way this is set up, I want to be able to wake up and do whatever I want to do.
Where in actuality, you're not really doing whatever you want to do.
No.
You're still.
Yeah. I think I heard something today of a podcast because when I'm working out, I like to either listen to a podcast or a sermon. He likes to listen to music, but I feel like it's like time stacking.
You don't want to listen. You don't want to know what I listen to.
I already know what you listen to because
it'd
be something mad hardcore because you be bopping mad hard and sweating like he pours with sweat. It looked like I'd be doing a lot, but I don't know. It's like nothing's happening besides in my hair. It was like poof. But yeah, so I like to listen to podcasts, but what be their podcasts, and I'm very intentional in this space of like what I'm listening to so that I'm not pouring myself with so much information that conflicts with what we're doing.
Who are you listening to? Uncle Myron?
I listen to Uncle Myron. Shout out to Myron. And the reason why I listen to him is I like sermons. I like things that I can practical put in my life or whatever. And he mixes the Bible and entrepreneurship, money, wealth, all of those different things. And I think he's like one of the very profound speakers on YouTube. It's just one of the people that I like. And I like Cody Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
I like her too. top notch too. The content is just very,
Pineda.
the content is just very rich.
Right.
And I enjoy that. And it's not the same. So those are just podcasts that I listen to. But one thing he said today, he was talking about how the poor think about wealth and money, and they believe that time is money.
Right.
And I remember when I first started doing hair and getting into this entrepreneurship space, I remember people saying, you got to work hard, like the hairstylist space. We work a lot.
You got to grind. You got to hustle.
Yes.
Hustle.
But hairstylists, in the world of being a hairstylist, the more you work, the more you make. And it was completely opposite. Mm-hmm. And once I got shown, the less I work, but the more I can make more, because I had to be strategic. And that came from us doing like research and studying, and more so him. He was like, you can make more. You just have to be strategic. And that first concept was when I was like, wait, hold up. I got this backwards, because I still was carrying that same mindset. When my mindset changed around, I don't need to put so many hours into to get a certain amount of money back. I need to charge intentionally, which took me on this path, like why I love everything about pricing and price strategy and all that stuff. It's fascinating to me, because I think that we have it wrong, especially in the service-based industry. Right. So I love that, and which is why I love to help people redefine their pricing. But one thing that he helped me do was, way before it was even popular, we all pay for gym membership, was a subscription model. And that made a world of a difference for my business, for the business that we were in at that moment in time.
Right. Well, another thing too is the whole reasoning was because of the family we had. We had little ones, and so you coming home tired wasn't just, it was a lot on us with 2 new babies. So we had to figure out what would work best for our family again. So if you figure all this out in the beginning stages, you won't have to go through so many transitions and changes. But I'll let you finish what you were saying about the podcast.
No. So that he was just talking about time is money. And once you leave that concept out and you graduate to the next concept, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm doing a horrible job. You go watch it if you want to. I don't even remember the name of the podcast, like what the title was. I'll have to go, because I didn't get a chance to finish it. But I remember that it was a certain point in time where my mindset was, okay, the more time I put in, the more money I'm going to make. And yes, I made great money, but if you're not good or disciplined with the money, or the money is not becoming an asset for you, it don't matter how much money you're making. So that was crucial for me at that point in time, which kind of makes me segue into kind of what we discussed before. But the next part is having a vision alignment meeting. And we do that quite often. It's not sit down and have these meetings. It's very casual. So define what that looks like for you. It's just, for us, it's casual. Sometimes sitting on the couch. Sometimes it's in going to the lounge downstairs. It can be anywhere you want, but just understanding what your vision is for this year, right? Having a map out plan, and it might not go 100%. But if it's an alignment meeting and you're saying, okay, this is the vision I have this is the end result. By year 1, I want to have this vision. Sometimes we so far dream 5-10 years from now, and that's how you were. But I'm like, in 1 year, where do you want this family to be? Right. And so that's where you get dialed in. Okay, for the next 12 months, this is our goal. And this is how we're going to do it. This is the business values that we have, our individual goals, and what do we want to accomplish this year for this business, right? And so you can speak this verbally, and if I don't want to sit there and write anything out, put your one suggestion I like to do, sometimes I'll come back if I'm talking, because sometimes the ideas just roll off the top of my head. So I'll just put on my voice memo and I can go back to it. And what's cool about voice memo now on your phone, if you have an iPhone, it'll write out the whole transcripts and put it right in your notes.
And then you got ChatGPT too that does voice memos too. So
yeah, so
you can record your voice and stuff.
But having a shared vision, because a lot of times if it's stuck in your head, if he has a vision and he doesn't cast it out, I am not in his head. And then he can start executing something. I'm like, that's nothing of what I even said. Or he has a passion project that he's now working on right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. But that can pop up, but that as long as it doesn't take away from what we are doing, that we both commit to, okay, this is the vision for this year. Like one of the things,
like this is our main focus. The vision for us is our main focus.
Yes.
And building that community is our main focus.
Is our main focus this year, because
this year and beyond.
And beyond. But we're starting at ground zero. Mm-hmm. And you had helped me rebrand. I had 2 podcasts already. We had the Chair's Blueprint, was all about hairstylists, and I did a lot of guest audience. I did like 75 shows there. Then I did another 75 shows by myself on that particular channel. And then you asked me a pivotal question when we were having our vision meeting. Right. And it was like, okay, Angelica, I've already branded you, but you're kind of inconsistent because you burn out very easily. And I just think that you are showing up in one capacity instead of showing all facets of yourself. And of course, that was true, but I wasn't ready to accept it. And he was like, are we branding ourselves together? It's okay for us to start at ground zero. But one thing, there's nothing online that shows couples building from the ground up. They're not having these real, raw, and honest conversations of what people are. You want to start a business with your spouse, because it's going to give you the freedom that you desire. Right. Once you get on the same page in your marriage, it makes a world of difference. Then you're not fighting, literally, and I don't mean arguing. You feel this tug of war instead of this synergy of like, okay, we're going at the same rhythm, right? Mm-hmm. And one's going this way and going at this speed, and the other one is like, it just doesn't work. You just have to figure out what that looks like. And I think more than ever, like, it's so much easier to start a business with your spouse, but I think it's the small details, and that's why I was like,
marriages or couples are worried about.
Yeah, I did a talk, and remember in Orlando, Florida, I got invited to speak at an event, and at that time, I was like the charge your worth girl. I was all of that. That was like my messaging about pricing and charging and just understanding your value. And although the talk was really, really good.
You did a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Lulu.
Almost made me too.
Yes.
And
there were a lot of other people there that spoke. It was my first time speaking to that particular audience. I didn't know anybody in the crowd besides one other person who I was invited by. And I remember when I finished speaking, because there was like really no schedule. I didn't even know when I was going to be speaking. So there was like a 3-day, right? 3-day event.
Like a 3-day event.
And we got to meet some really nice people from there. That was like the greatest highlight. I can't tell you what everybody talked about, which is like a lot of conferences. Sometimes when there's too many speakers, it's more like information overload. And that's a separate topic. But anyway, when we finished that talk, it was a young couple that came up to us and literally was picking our brains. You would have thought that it was like ding, 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 because we came there together, right? I didn't go anywhere without him.
Right.
And then people would say, what do you guys do? And then he would say, well, she does this and I do this. And you can tell now looking back, they're like, it would always give this face like, we are together. Like they just assumed because we are together, even though I might've been the one speaking at the event, they assumed that we did everything together, and we were not dialed in what we did together. He's like, well, I do her branding and all this stuff, and she does this. Right. And it was so separate. And that was probably the beginning of like a thought, but it wasn't a thought for me. It was more of like, I got to figure out how she's going to be able to marry this vision, because it makes more sense for us to do something together than separate when every place that we go to is together. And so I just wasn't aligned with that vision at all. And I guess I didn't even see it as a value. And I think I needed more. I was always looking for the example. And I remember our pastor saying, when you're a pioneer in something, you are the example. Right. You keep going to look for it, but if it's not there, it's because somebody hasn't stepped up to the plate to create something, and you might feel like you're so far ahead, which you are so far ahead because the vision was given for you guys to accomplish. So there's nobody that what you're looking for is there. Right. Now they could be talking about all different types of things, but they're not talking about the thing that God told you guys to talk about. And then your audience is looking for you, but you haven't showed up yet.
Right.
And so a lot of times that can be a problem. So definitely having that aligned vision meeting is a game changer. And that's not to say that your vision won't grow and expand, because just this past weekend, he expanded. Like, from me having the conversation about the decree, no, you were reading a book.
Right.
He was reading this book that he's reading. He reads way more than me. And I said, 2025, my goal is to read more. Because number one, they say information is hidden in the book.
Right.
And if you're not reading, then your mindset is kind of staying the same. And even when I read the word, I always get a new revelation or something. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that last time. Or I can apply this, or this is what God was saying in that. But that's the same thing with books. And you'll stay the same if you don't get the information.
Don't get the information.
Next year, y'all, this year, 2025, if this is airing in 2025 or at the end of 2025.
The reason why they put most of the information in the books, because they know majority of people are not going to go get that information out of the books.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I'm going to be reading more. So definitely have your aligned vision meeting, wherever that is. It's super important. And then document it. Put it down so that you have a reference to come back to. It's like your contract to kind of go back to. And he keeps everything in something creative called X-Tiles. If you guys want to check that out, we'll put a link down so you can guys go check it out. And it's really cost effective. They even have a free version as well. So it's not like, and it keeps it aesthetic. It's like a vision board without it being a vision board. You just make it into whatever you want. So we'll put a link down below so you guys can check that out. And then my next and final point, because he's a big visionary and I like the small details. So set up micro milestones to celebrate along the way.
Oh, I like that.
I don't think that a lot of people
celebrate the small wins or even sit down and set up like you said, to set up and celebrate along the journey, along the way.
Yes, because, okay, let's say you're in year 1 of building your business and you're going to launch, like, I'll just use this for example. We're starting a podcast, no subscribers probably. I don't know how many is at this point when people are watching it.
Right.
But we said
we started from zero.
We're starting from zero. At first we were going to use my YouTube channel, but then I'm like, babe, if we're starting completely over, then let's just be at zero and let's build from there. Not people that's like, oh, I knew Angelica. Now y'all might be coming from the Angelica channel, right? And then coming over here. That's cool. But you're here because you want to hear this dialogue. You're here because you're invested in what we have to say or the advice we're going to give you or the strategies we're going to give you. All of that. But whatever those milestones are, which we still have to define what our milestones this year for 2025.
Right.
We haven't sat down. So even when we have a vision, I think in the vision, you should put, what are we going to celebrate? But just for the sake of this episode, wanted to kind of break it down that way. So like, for instance, I think when we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, that's like worth celebrating. Right. When we launch our community, because that's something that we want couples that's going to come together. We have like a whole vision about that. We'll share more when that time comes, but that's one of the milestones, your personal milestones. If we've been going to the gym, let's say for 3 months consistently, we said we were going to do 5 days a week. And we like, okay, babe, 3 months, check in. We have not missed a day. We've been faithful. We've been resilient. Maybe you lost a certain amount of weight or he's gained a certain amount of muscle. I'm just giving you guys some example of what some milestones you should be able to celebrate. I know for me, I want to celebrate reading a book, right? When I'm done reading that book, I only read 3 books this year. And 3.
3?
No, 4.
4.
Yeah, 4 books I read this year. And it took me a long time to read one. He was like, you still on that book? I'm like, get out of my business, right?
I don't even remember how many books I read this year.
You read a lot. He did a lot of courses. He did a lot of certifications. He's done a lot in 2024, like a beast. I commend him and I'm like, I'm so proud of him, but it's just like, I don't move at that speed. But yes, celebrating those milestones, whatever those are, set them. And then that's, so you have a barometer. It's like, oh, we hit that. It's like, and then you move the needle to the next thing, right? Because I think that's oftentimes you miss the big, you trying to get to the big thing that you don't get a chance
You're
to.
so focused on the end result,
that you
the
don't,
end of the journey where you don't take time to celebrate the in between.
Yeah, like when the kids come home from school, this is an idea and I'm putting it out there. I didn't even tell them. So y'all getting first dibs. I think that because our kids are super social, they love people, they are like they love up on everybody, right? But when they come home from school and they're no longer going back to a building any longer, I want to celebrate that. I'm like, we are homeschooling, like make it a big deal. Because I want them to enjoy the process of what freedom looks like. And that's one of the goals for us and them. And actually last year when Genesis got off the bus ending he was in first grade last year, first grade, he said, are we homeschooling now? And I was not even ready. I'm like, wait, hold up. He's like, we never going back to school, right? I was like, yeah. I wrote a whole post about it on my Facebook. And everybody was laughing. I'm like, dude, we just got out of school. Like, let's just, but he was at that point, he was already there, but mommy wasn't there. And I said, you know what? When their last official day being in school, I want to celebrate. I want it to be something that's monumental. So they're kind of operating and like, oh, it's fun. We got this adventure. So whatever those milestones are for your family in 2025, make sure that you write them down and celebrate those things.
And I'll record that too.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll share it with you guys so you guys can see.
Maybe.
If you want to see, let us know in the chat. But yeah, I think that writing down every milestone that you want to accomplish makes it more enjoyable.
It does.
Because 12 months feels like forever, even though these years are going by.
They're going by
so fast. But when you are trying to accomplish something, it could be anything. I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. You get to 10 pounds, you want to be celebrating. You're like, yes. Or you get to whatever it is that you want to do in your business, do it for business and personal. Just write a few of them. And I wouldn't suggest putting like 10 on there. I would suggest per quarter what you want to accomplish. Okay. Because I think when you put so many, he does everything in excess. He shops in excess. Oh my God. I remember the first time, this is going to be a segue, but the first time we ever went shopping, I'm like, why are you buying everything in 4s? 4 pair of pants, 4 pair of shirts. And actually it was the same color. So if he liked a style shirt, he would buy it in every color. Then he would find another style shirt and he would buy that in every color. And then a pair of pants, he would buy that in multiple colors. So I'm like, I mean, every time we went shopping, it was like a shopping spree. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to get a couple of things. It was a shopping spree. So that was a little different for us. But we'll see.
We'll see what?
Did it stop? No, it's still going.
It's still going.
But anyway, those are the 5 that we have for you. I just wanted to make sure that
was weird.
Yeah, it was like super.
I was looking at this computer screen and it just
went black. But we're still here,
but
y'all.
We're still here. So.
And so just to recap so that you guys are super clear of what it is that we are talking about. If you made it to this part of the episode, the 5 key things that you need to do before starting a business. Number 1, you want to define your non-negotiables before you start. Number 2, you want to choose your business based on your shared lifestyle goals, not just your skills. Number 3, you want to create a safe place for your business disagreements. That's huge. Number 4, you want to have a vision alignment meeting and document it. That's important. And last but not least, set up your micro milestones to celebrate along the way. Those are the 5 tips that we have for you. I hope that this episode was a blessing for you and that you are going to set a pathway for your family to grow its own legacy this year.
And that's the main focus
that is
for
it.
For this podcast.
Yes.
Is for it to help young families build their own legacy for their families.
Yes. So go out and be great. Have a wonderful 2025 and let us know what businesses are you going to be starting this year? And then what takeaway did you have from this episode? I want to hear what your comments are. Put it in the chat.
And if you got any other things that you want us to speak on, just remember to just put it in the comments below.
Yes.
And we will look at those topics and talk about it.
Yes. And our email is listed in the description. So if you want to keep it a little private, go ahead and email us directly and we will definitely get back to you. But we hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.